This is Tuesday, June 21st. There are 28 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
VANUHTEE go.
Oh my god, I love LiveJournal and my LiveJournal loves me. Current mood is hyperactive, current music, refuse 73. I love the color scheme, it's pink and purple.
Hello all, I'm your host James Riley, and joining me on the podcast as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us.
And our guest host for today is Legion of Sand himself, Robert Warners.
Hey, everybody.
And our special guest is Mario Thompson, the hotel commercial director at the Hilton Bayfront.
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, so this is week 7 of the podcast, and it is one werewolf cycle until Comic-Con. We'll take your comments and questions during the show. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtags SDConCast. We will also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment there. But first up, let's talk to Mario. And Carrie, why don't you get us started?
So Mario, for anybody who isn't aware, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the Bayfront?
All right. First and foremost, I am a father of 5 beautiful girls and happily married. During the daytime, I am the commercial director for the Hilton San Diego Bayfront. Actually, a couple of hotels. This amazing event actually impacts 2 of my 3 hotels that I manage. So also our Mission Valley Hotel. But for Bayfront, it's I am basically responsible for all things revenue generation. So anything to do with rooms, anything to do with meeting space, catering, just anything that involves revenue generation, I am responsible. I'm the director for.
That sounds like a pretty big responsibility.
It's just a few million here and there.
So with so many events happening in the area, like all the time, how is prepping for Comic-Con different than the other events that go on throughout the year?
Yeah, it's very different. I can safely say that Comic-Con is the only cultural phenomenon that takes place every year. While we may host some big events, nothing that is as socially conscious, socially impactful, as fun, as entertaining, and quite frankly, it is the Super Bowl of our events every year. I don't know if I can say Super Bowl, but anyway, it's the biggest event we host every year, and the team just gets, so excited. And I don't know if you know this or not, but every year, right before Comic-Con starts, the hotel has an internal competition.
No, I've never heard this.
You've never heard this story? Okay.
No.
So every year, the hotel leading up to Comic-Con has an internal competition, department against department. So you have housekeeping, front office, sales and marketing. Who can put on the best production? And this is held in the hotel cafeteria, and it's a ton. It's obviously the biggest event in the cafeteria every year. But I am proud to say, most importantly, that the sales and marketing team won this event back in 2019. We actually did a small production of Stranger Things way back then. It was a lot of fun. So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, it was a ton of fun. I think everyone still owns their costumes. But again, it just speaks to the mindset of every single person that works at the hotel, and just how important yet meaningful it all is to have you guys at the hotel, each and every year.
That's awesome. So when you're preparing, is it like, do you just do all the normal preparation, or do you have to do like extra stuff for the con, or just, I'm sure it's more, but.
Yeah, no, I think the preparation is definitely on a larger scale, right? Because there's way more branding, there is way more activation. Again, like I mentioned earlier, this is the most social event that we have. And so it requires the hotel to be extremely nimble, to be flexible, and maybe not as structured, quite frankly, as we might be for, say, a corporate event. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, it's out of the box. There are certain things we know from history that we need to prepare for, and we get smarter and smarter every year on how to execute against that and give everyone in town for the convention the best possible experience they can have at the Bayfront.
Can you speak at all to any of the extra things that you guys do to prepare?
Yeah, there's definitely, so because of the history and having so much years of history, there are certainly more internal meetings, basically leading up to the event. We certainly want to look at any and all opportunities that may have occurred the year prior or the year before that to make sure something's not repeated. So I would say those meetings happen more frequently. There are brainstorm sessions to talk about, again, what can we do differently? What we can expect? What are we hearing as far as what the Bureau might be telling us or what we're seeing online? Just as much information sharing as possible. I would say it just happens a lot more frequently, whereas, in a standard setting, we pretty much have a structure on how we have those meetings, whereas leading up to Comic-Con, those meetings get ramped up and become more frequent. Instead of every 2 weeks, maybe it's every week. And then they get even closer and closer to make sure everything is buttoned up before you guys get here.
That makes sense. We had a question in the chat. Karen Session asked, how far in advance of Comic-Con do you start to prepare?
Oh, wow. Well, that depends on, so there's two types of preparation. So it really depends on, the first is when the hotel becomes physically available to us. So that's usually, I would say, a few days, 3 or 4 days before the convention starts, because San Diego, as you guys know, is just an extremely hot destination, both from a convention standpoint and a leisure standpoint, probably more so on the leisure standpoint. But again, the meetings and the conversation leading up to Comic-Con, I would say those discussions start probably 3 months prior to your arrival. We start brainstorming, we start discussing, again, really focusing on, not that you want to focus on the negative, but if anything did occur that needed to get fixed or enhanced, we certainly start there so we can, pull the ideas together.
That makes sense. And so inside the Bayfront, you have the Indigo Ballroom, which is very important to Comic-Con because it's held for panels like almost every day, plus the Eisners, and other rooms are used for things like little press rooms and other things. How did that partnership CCI using the space come about? And are you guys involved in setting that up, or is it just they take the room and they do what they want with it?
Yeah, no, we're definitely involved. I think as I joined the hotel, and that's the other beauty of this convention, right? I actually moved to San Diego right before Comic-Con. So this was actually like one of the very first events that I got to see in person. And, you get a Comic-Con education, quite frankly. And so as I understand it, given my role, of course, everyone wanted to make sure that I was fully knowledgeable. Back in the early, 2010s, as Comic-Con was growing and growing, they found themselves in a need for a mid-size panel room for the TV shows growing, in pop culture during that time. But they didn't want a space that would be cavernous, right? Like the convention center space. Yeah, that would just be too large. And so they wanted a big room, but they wanted a room that could still feel somewhat intimate. And so Indigo Ballroom became the official panel room for Comic-Con, and after that, it just was a natural step to add the Eisners because the AV was available to reuse and the size was just right. So, it really goes without saying that the Indigo Ballroom, without question, is a highlight. Attendees line up as early as 4 a.m.
I would say earlier than that.
Yeah. So, I was told of a story that, because one of my favorite shows, I'm from Brooklyn, New York originally, so Brooklyn Nine-Nine is one of my favorite shows, and so it was special for me to hear and learn that Comic-Con played a big role in that show continuing for the seasons that it did. And just one of the stories says that when you guys did what you did to help save that show, that all of a sudden there were 4,000 people in line, hundreds of whom started getting in line at like 1 a.m. for a 7 p.m. panel. I think, again, it's stories like that just really hit home, and how do you not want to go above and beyond for everyone that comes through the door when they show that kind of passion for things. It's just special.
Absolutely. Well, I was actually at that Brooklyn Nine-Nine panel, so that's funny that you brought that up. But we are always so impressed with the way that the Bayfront runs their panels and the line security at the hotel. You guys always do, a great job with all that.
Thank you.
One of the things that I know a lot of people look forward to are just seeing the wraps on the outside of the hotel. And obviously we see those at the Bayfront. What kind of approving process is there? Are you guys involved with what wraps go up on the hotel at all?
Yeah, we actually manage the process entirely. The studio client is approved by Comic-Con, obviously, and then directed to the hotel to bid on the opportunities where available. So we get a ton of requests, but have a really long-standing relationship with FX, as you guys can tell, which is why you see their shows on our building each and every year. And so we expanded to other areas of the building in 2019 with Amazon Prime, taking on our, Petco Park facing wall. In terms of approval of artwork, we have some requirements for the artwork that the studio wrapping the building must follow. And, some artwork has been denied over the years, but most of them have gotten through, usually requested changes. They're accommodating, and it can be a sensitive topic, to be honest, for the creators, as the artwork is typically advertising a show, and as we all know about marketing is hard, right? Because the work means so much to that individual, and it's never easy to hear that we may need you to tweak it this way or that way. But the hotel is very involved with the approval process and installation of whatever branding or wraps get put on the building.
So saying that you guys control that entirely, do you guys also control the Bayfront lawn and the activations that end up getting planted there?
We certainly again, yes. The short answer is yes, right? We definitely partner with the Port of San Diego, and to make sure that we are following all of the guidelines. But yes, anything that happens on Bayfront Park, the hotel is heavily involved as we manage that space and do what we need to do to support whomever is activating that space.
To go back to wraps for a second, I don't think you've been at too many Comic-Cons there, but it sounds like you are familiar with some of the previous wraps. Do you have one that really stands out to you as like, oh, that was a cool thing that they put
Oh
on the
my
Bayfront?
gosh. So and not to sound too corny, but it's always your first, I think, that you get to see. And again, it was just I remember and forgive me because oh my gosh, it was the motorcycle show, and the artwork.
Oh,
Mayans
Um,
MC.
Say that again.
Is that Mayans MC?
I think that was it. And the guy with there was an image, sticking out his tongue.
yes.
And it was a quick, for me, it was a quick lesson into Comic-Con because I received, no joke, probably 30 different text messages, pictures of the building, friends that were on the water or in different cities, all over the place, of just telling me how cool they thought the building looked with that wrap. So I would say that would be my favorite because definitely it was my first, and it really indoctrinated me into what was going on at the hotel for the week.
That is very cool. Damian DeCruz asked, how long do the wraps take to put up and take down?
They've gotten faster and faster over
They get
over
those
the
things up
years.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So, now I would say it probably takes a couple of days, on both ends. It just really depends on how committed they are to getting the work done. Sometimes weather plays a role, but it's San Diego, so that's hardly if ever. So it'd be more so the wind, I guess, when I speak to that. But usually it's a couple of days up, a couple of days down.
Makes sense. So it has been 3 years, obviously, since San Diego Comic-Con, and there have been a lot of changes. And I think one of the things that attendees are most curious about is what are the dining options these days at the Bayfront?
Yeah, so excited to share that there are new venues, new food and beverage options at the hotel for this year's Comic-Con. And it's just a testament to the amazing owners that we have. And so I'll start with our On the Rocks food truck, which is actually right outside on Promenade Plaza. So that's going to be available for the first time this year to our Comic-Con guests walking along the park, headed over to the convention center. So that'll be pretty cool.
Very excited about that.
Yeah, and we opened up a brand new restaurant, Hudson and Nash, as well as the new Cannery Market and Supply. So these are Hudson and Nash is your, coastal California flair restaurant that I think has options for all price points, and the Cannery Market is your grab and go, light bites, coffee, and type meals. So both great options, and we still have our amazing dining options, Odyssey Lounge, Pool Club, and the Starbucks, of course, which
Of course.
I had heard one year that Starbucks generates, the week that you guys are in town, that Starbucks is the highest grossing Starbucks in the company for the week you guys are in town. I'd heard that somewhere.
I believe it. If that's true,
I believe it too.
That's amazing.
I can't verify it, obviously, but that's what I've heard several times, actually. It's by far the biggest week of the year.
So Night Bodega asked, will Hudson and Nash have a simpler menu for Comic-Con? And you may not know the answer to that, but I know that Bella always used to have like a smaller like Comic-Con menu.
Yeah, I think that there's a strong possibility that could happen, right? It seems to work well for it to be a little bit more simplified and streamlined, because that helps speed things up for everyone involved. So I think that's probably likely to happen again.
We also have a lot of questions about the buffet, and I believe that buffet is usually kind of set up in the lobby, kind of near Indigo. Do you happen to know if that will be back this year?
So I think there will be, yes, the short answer is yes.
Okay.
There will definitely be concession stands and buffet lines probably positioned throughout the building.
Awesome.
Just to, again, it's about speed, keeping everyone happy, and then energized, right, while they're waiting.
Yes, for sure. And for those of us who, spend hours in Indigo Ballroom, that is always a fantastic option. And we're very appreciative that you guys do that.
Absolutely.
Any special plans at the Bayfront this year during the convention? Extended hours or anything of the sort?
Yeah, so I think every year, we extend our hours to the kitchen to make sure we feed the late night, Comic-Con crowd. I think we'll see if there's some. I can't give away all of the secrets, but there might be some specialty cocktails and things like that to, give everyone a good laugh and make sure everyone's having a good time. And then we have our new light wall, so we'll see what happens with that. Whether someone decides that they want to activate the light wall on for Comic-Con, or if the hotel actually utilizes the light wall itself to do something fun with.
Awesome. Well, I have another question for you. Will there be room service? Because I know, since COVID, a lot of hotels have scaled back their room service or aren't offering it anymore.
There will not be room service.
There will not be room service. Okay. That is good to know. And then we had a question from Night Bodega who asked actually about the hotel lobby bathrooms. Are they locked and only accessible via room keys, or will they be open to attendees that week?
I think that's a good question. I think are they referring to?
I think they're referring to those bathrooms by Indigo. Surely those would be unlocked with Indigo there.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because I can't imagine that they would be locked. I think they will be open. I'm just trying to think if that was during the smaller Comic-Con event that took place last November.
And it may not even be about you. I know that the Omni across the street, their bathrooms have been locked. I'm not sure that you guys have. So that may be a question relating to actually the Omni.
I hadn't heard that one. I can't imagine. I mean, it's a full buyout pretty much of the hotel. Right?
Yeah.
So
surely the bathrooms by Indigo would be open.
Yeah. I just don't see a scenario. Yeah. That would be an issue for sure.
Yes, it would. All right. We had, I think, one more question about food. James,
yes.
Do you want to ask
it?
I
mean, it is one of the most important things, even if one of us, pointing the finger at Carrie, doesn't like to eat during the convention much. But there was the Fox Sports Grill up until around 2018-ish, I think. And in 2019, it was a grab-and-go station. Is there any plans to have that again, or something moving in?
Yeah, so that space has been transformed into state-of-the-art meeting space. And so that space will get activated most likely by Fox. And so we'll get creative from a food and beverage standpoint around that. So the Fox Sports Grill is no more. That's now really, really attractive meeting space.
So no grab and go station there this year, we think?
There will be. There will be. We'll just get creative outside of that space. And again, obviously we have the food truck there now that we didn't have in the past. And so there will absolutely be food and beverage activations, but just anyone looking for the Fox Sports Grill, unfortunately, that space is no longer there. Or the Fox Sports Grill is no longer there. The space is still there.
Makes sense. So to take things in a different direction, I want to talk about just like what is the convention like for you? Like are there any like really memorable moments that stand out in your mind like this is Comic-Con?
Yeah, again, I would say there's two things. One, again, it's definitely, I feel like there's nothing like when you see it for the first time, right? Because, my living on the East Coast, you watch, like I was a big fan of Big Bang Theory and would hear Sheldon talk about it, and you would see that episode and all of that. And but when you see it in person for the first time, it really takes your breath away. I mean, you can't comprehend the scope and magnitude of the event. And so that definitely will probably stick with me for a very, very long time. And then, it's hard when you're a hotelier and you're working a hotel. I've had the good fortune to attend events where you would see celebrities and it's not, we can't really react.
Right.
We have to try to keep our cool as best we can, and they definitely don't want us approaching the celebrities, or we can't do anything on social media.
But at the same time, come on, was there anyone you saw that you were very excited about, at least on the inside?
Oh my God. Yeah, it probably man, I'm gonna get myself into
You're gonna get yourself in trouble. You don't have to answer. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, but you again, if you're in the back of the house and you've been around a little bit, and even if you're, for me, this will be my call it my 3.5 Comic-Cons, but you learn where to go, you learn where to hang out, and act busy if you want to see people, and thankfully, given what I do for the hotel, they're a little flexible with me, so yes. I'll probably get a little more leverage than others.
Well, we're glad to hear that you get to have some fun. So we have a couple more questions in the chat, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Sylvia asked if you happen to know if both elevators will be full working order during the event in the parking structure.
They should be. There's no reason they should not. I love the logistical questions.
Yep. That's what we care about.
I was not expecting that. That's good stuff. But yes, I fully expect. I can't imagine. Again, it's the busiest time of year, so these are the type of things, like I said, that get talked about months in advance to make sure we're fully operational and ready to go.
Yes.
Now you can't foresee the future,
No.
Things happen, but obviously the plan is to have both elevators work.
Comic-Con attendees are very serious about the amount of fun they're having, and the parts in between need to be handled. How to get from A to B needs to be handled far in advance.
I get it.
Yes.
Listen,
and on that note, the calculator in the chat asked about the buffet. Can we have some more information on that? Like, is it a breakfast buffet? And actually, what I'm going to suggest to you, Mario, is if you are open to it, is when you guys know like what you're doing for the food for Comic-Con, honestly, like let us know. And we can work with you and like put out a spotlight of like, here are the food options at the Bayfront this week with their special menus and their buffets, because our people, we care about food. That's the one thing we care about.
I will see to it that we do that.
All right.
We've got a new chef this year, so I expect for their, every chef wants to put their little touch on things, and so. If it's anything like the new food we now serve in Hudson and Nash, which is what I expect, I think our folks here for Comic-Con are in for a really good time, really good food, and they will be very happy with the offerings that the hotel has. But I made note of what you suggested.
Yes.
And I think it's a cool way for us to engage the fan base. So, you know, maybe, who knows, maybe they can offer up some suggestions too.
Yeah. Again, we are very serious about our food.
And elevators. Two questions.
And elevators.
I remember one thing you mentioned about keeping the food options open a bit later. I remember how much of a lifesaver it was one of the years I did stay in the Bayfront, getting back to the room like at 11 or 12 at night and having the option to still order a burger. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, not being able to eat all day because obviously we're just running around being busy and you got to eat one meal, and they had it ready. And so it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it's you quickly learn it's almost a 24-hour event. It almost goes on for nearly 24 hours.
Almost.
So, you know, there's a ton of opportunity there for to surprise and delight our guests, and I think it's important we do that. You know, this is not your average event, right? These are memories, these are emotions, these are relationships, these are things that people remember for the rest of their lives. And if the Bayfront can help make those memories positive ones, even if it's two people laughing on how, you know, whatever, they had a great time and then shared a burrito, who knows, whatever those stories are, right? We want to make sure that we're helping in any way that we can.
Absolutely. So I have one more question, and I think it's a nice one to end on. So Jay Kamazia asked, do you have any secret tips and tricks in the hotel that might be available during the con, like a rest spot or a secret bathroom? And I just kind of want to know, like, what is your favorite spot in the Bayfront? Like,
now, okay. So Jay, what was Jay's handle? Great question. That was a great question. And so, if I tell you my favorite spot, it will no longer be my favorite spot. But, but you know, I have a few. I think the terrace outside of the Odyssey Lounge that overlooks Promenade Plaza, and that to me is one of the best areas of the hotel to see everything. You're outside. There's a bar right behind you. Doesn't get much better than that. So again, I think when you guys are here and you see the new restaurant and how it actually can open up to the bay, and so there's new seating out there that I think is going to be pretty cool to be able to see everyone coming and going. Another secret spot, which it's okay, I can say it because no one can get to it, is the executive office, because you can see, again, you have just incredible visibility into what's happening at the park, what's going and coming from the convention center, what's, you know, all the buildings and how they're wrapped. But if I had to pick one, it would be that terrace right outside of Odyssey, because it's outside, the bar's right there.
It's a gorgeous spot. That's a good one. Yeah.
If I can, when I can, I like to get there early, hang out, and just protect that space for a few hours and have several cocktails.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Mario, again, we are huge fans of the Bayfront, and we're big fans of everything that you do. And we just want to say thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening to spend some time with us, even though based on the amount of sunlight outside, you wouldn't know that it's evening. But we just want to say thank you. And before you go, why don't you tell everyone where they can find the Bayfront online?
You can find Bayfront at HiltonSanDiegoBayfront.com. Easy enough. And again, you know, I would just like to say thank you. This event is just the most special event that we have every year, and it's a big part of the fabric of the hotel. We don't have I mentioned the internal competition that we have. We don't do that for any other event of the year. and so it just goes to show how much of a part of the culture and of the Hilton that Comic-Con is. It goes well beyond the revenue that the event generates. It's a lot more to do with the people. So thank you for the opportunity to meet all of you, and thank you to everyone that attends.
We cannot wait to see you here in a couple of weeks. And I guess everybody, when you get to the Bayfront, you can ask everybody who won this year's competition.
Hopefully they have it. I haven't heard,
Oh, no.
Yeah. Hopefully they have it. They didn't do it last year, obviously. I get it. And so I think because, I'm not sure if they're going to do it this year, but they better bring it back.
You can tell them now that you've talked about it, people are going to be asking. So
yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Mario.
All right, guys. Take care. Thanks again. I love
Mario.
the Crown back. All right.
All right.
Take care,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
And now it is time for news, and there has been a lot of news over the last week.
It is, yes. It finally really feels like Comic-Con new season, which is good because we are less than 30 days out. So it was time. It was time. But let's start with one of the biggest news stories of the week, which is that the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, will be heading to San Diego Comic-Con for a Hall H panel. We don't know yet which cast will be on it, but at least the showrunners are, and I'm sure they will bring several cast members, but I mean, their cast is like 30 people long, so they have, a lot of people to choose from.
And the other nice news, which happens right around this time every year, right before Comic-Con, is the banners started showing up along the streets of the gas lamp. And if this year it's Marvel again. They're almost every year now, it seems, one of set of the banners, and it's She-Hulk. And it's pretty awesome. And if you want to know whether or not that means Marvel is coming to Comic-Con, of course they are, because they always have a booth and they always do stuff. But is Marvel Studios coming to Comic-Con? Why don't you go read the article that Carrie wrote that is very informative and has all the details.
Yes. So if you think definitively one way or another that Marvel Studios is coming to San Diego Comic-Con, you probably don't, unless you work at Marvel, in which case you might know. But short of that, go read that article. Truly, it has some really good information. And then tune into our podcast next week when Jermaine Lucier of Gizmodo will hopefully come on and just tell us if Marvel is coming or not.
That'd be great.
He does that every year. He basically he contacts the studios. He asks hey, are you going? And then he comes on our podcast and he's I've got a list. We're just going to go data for the first 5-10 minutes of this podcast. And it's great. We love Jermaine.
Yep.
Well, in other news, 2 of the trolley wraps have been spotted so far. First one is the ABC comedy Abbott Elementary. And then I believe was it today or yesterday we saw Paper Girls that's going to be on Prime Video.
That was this morning. Yeah. The start of a very long day. Yes.
Everything's just blurring at this point. So
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I also wanted to talk about panels. So the full panel schedule will come out July 7th through 10th, but we are starting to get several announcements like that Lord of the Rings panel. And as always, I run that announced and confirmed panels list on our site where we compile all of that information for you into one helpful page, which currently has 55 plus panels. And usually by the end of it, it has 300. So there's a lot more coming. Keep an eye out.
I think one of those panels is a Collider panel. They're hosting directors on directing with Tim Miller. You may know from Deadpool. Andrew Stanton did Wall-E, John Carter, and Chad Stileski, director of John Wick. So that's definitely one of the panels to look forward to.
Yeah, seriously, that's some good talent there for directors on directing. And then next up we have the badges, which are arriving now. We've noticed the first one. What was it? Just a couple days ago?
Just yesterday.
And then today,
again,
a bunch more started
showing
up. Yeah, I know. But it's the Rings of Power. Oh, that's the second mention of the Rings of Power.
It is.
I wonder what that means for Comic-Con this year.
I mean, we already know they have a holidays panel, but yeah, I mean, I will be point blank shocked if there's not like a giant Lord of the Rings offsite.
Like if the whole
Shocked.
Comic-Con campus does not change into Middle Earth, basically, then Amazon is not doing their job in spending all of that money we've been spending on them with Prime for the last few years. Come on.
That's very true. Yeah, I mean, Amazon is everywhere this year. Honestly, I mean, I don't even feel like a Lord of the Rings offsite is in question. But I hope too that we get a presence for some of their other stuff. Like I really loved back in I think 2019 when they did like 3 offsites in one. Like that was so fun, and they've got The Boys and Paper Girls. So I don't know. I'm as much as I want Lord of the Rings, like I'm like, let's do some other stuff as well. But
yeah, and they were really good about that the year they had Carnival Row and Expanse and The Boys, and they did all 3 of them in one really cool offsite where they each had their own themed offsite in one area. So that's really cool. So I think they'll do something like that again, or maybe because they want to expand, maybe they'll have one giant Lord of the Rings one and have the other ones like for maybe The Boys or Paper Girls in different areas. We'll find out.
That's the dream. Eleanor Grace said, if there aren't some orcs just hanging out all over, I'll be disappointed. And yeah, basically.
And Lord of the Rings has a really rich history at Comic-Con too, going all the way back to when the movies were coming out from New Line, and they did panels for those. And
well, we just talked about that.
Yeah,
on
Gary,
one,
right?
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Yeah, when
he got Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen showed up. He was showing up for X-Men, but he was filming Lord of the Rings at the time. And I remember I went to one of the Lord of the Rings panels back, and I think it was around 2000, 2001. And they actually, during the panel, they grabbed some fans, brought them up on stage, and they dressed one as an orc, and they dressed one as an elf, and one as a hobbit, actually putting hobbit feet on them. It was crazy. All during the panel, like the length of the panel while they were doing Q&A. It was great. Anyway, the next thing up we have.
The next thing up is I just want to mention that if you are staying in Coronado, the Coronado Ferry will be running. However, unfortunately, unlike previous years, they will not be extending their hours. It will be regular service hours, which basically means that like the first ferry over is at 9:10. So if you are staying over in Coronado, you know, you might want to get an Uber or figure something else out. But we posted that schedule.
Other transportation and other logistics issues is they released the closure plan for Harbor Drive and the areas surrounding it. And of course, we knew this because the shuttles were released, but they're closing Harbor Drive down again, but they're also closing down the front access way in front of the convention center, and the shuttles are getting dropped off further away. And the reason they're doing that is going to be for the COVID checks and the vaccine checks. They're going to be out front there and using that space. So you can check that map out on the site as well. And it also shows where like the queue lines are going to be for lining up overnight, basically for anything Hall H probably, or getting in the morning. So it's pretty cool knowing in advance all the places that are going to be locked down just for us. Yep.
All right. So Robert, why don't you tell us a little bit about badge pickup?
So if you if you didn't have a domestic shipping address, so maybe you're an international attendee, or between now and then you lose your badge, or you're a professional who didn't get shipped, there are dates and times when you can pick up your badge at the sales pavilion. And if you're in town early on Tuesday, you can pick up any badge type between the hours of 1 to 5 on Tuesday, July 19th. And then the rest of the schedule usually just pick up if you have single day badges the day of, or I believe starting at 3 p.m. the day prior as well. So
yes, that is correct. And one of the groups that will need to be picking up is the pros who are registering in the supplemental registration that's open now. So basically for the professionals who would have been eligible in 2020 but did not register basically before registration closed early when the convention was canceled, they have finally opened up the supplemental registration so that you can register yourself and your guests. But again, because it's so late now, anyone who is registering right now for that will need to pick up on site.
And then let's talk a little bit about some commissions. One of our own, Andy, does a great job of keeping this article updated with all of the commissions that artists are opening up, such as, we got Steve Bryant and Bill Walco. So we have a nice, very thorough article with prices if they're there, examples of their work and whatnot. So if you enjoy original artwork, I would definitely recommend checking out the article.
So before we move on to offsites, I just want to get to a couple of the reader questions in the chat because we've had quite a few. Nico Holt asked, George R.R. Martin, is he going to be one of the will he be signing autographs in a lottery or raffle? We don't know yet. It's a little bit early for most autograph information. We will eventually post a very extensive list of all the autograph signings with information that we know of. The thing about autographs at San Diego Comic-Con is basically everyone does them differently. So each booth will often have their own rules and ways that they do things. Some of them might require you to get a ticket or a wristband, and some of them are first come, first serve. So everybody does it different. But we will be posting that as we get close to the convention. And unfortunately, you just kind of have to pay attention. Let's see here. I know there were others. Kyle asked, any word on Comic-Con shirts or pens for pre-orders like in 2019? Not yet. We have not seen that yet, but they could easily still do that. Or maybe they decide they don't do pre-orders this year and it's just buy at the booth. I really don't know.
Did they do pre-orders for WonderCon?
No. But so they don't normally, I don't think.
Okay.
So I've fairly certain San Diego Comic-Con is the only one that they actually do pre-orders for. Okay. If I'm wrong about that.
But they will have merch. They have merch all the time.
I'm very certain that they will have merch. I think the only question is whether or not you'll be able to pre-order it. And then, normally when you do the pre-orders, you can go and pick it up over at the Marriott, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not this year. So we'll see. The calculator asked, the vaccine check accepts virtual vaccine cards. Yeah. I mean, they did at both WinterCon and Comic-Con Special Edition. I can't imagine that San Diego will be any different. So I think you're absolutely fine to bring a virtual vaccine card or like a photo of your vaccine card. You will need to show your ID as well, but I think you'll be fine.
Iron Souls announced if they announced anything about when we can do the vaccine check yet. And I don't think they've announced any specifics yet.
They have not, but honestly, here is my guess. My strong suspicion is that the vaccine check will be open at the same time as badge pickup.
Makes sense.
Yes. And in fact, I believe that they even opened up badge pickup earlier this year to normal folks. On Tuesday. Tuesday used to be, I don't even remember who could pick it up, but it was not everyone. I'm positive of that. And this year, anybody can pick up on Tuesday. And so I would bet you anything that part of the reason they did that is so that they can start getting people through to get their wristbands earlier. Like I said, my strong suspicion would be that vaccine checks will be at the same time as badge pickup. We had other questions. EMP still had asked, any word on Mattel yet? No word yet on Mattel.
And questions about lines, like where do things start, like the Hall HQ line or anything else? We're assuming that the lines will be standard and they'll have the tents in the park plaza. And then it will wrap behind the convention center. Everything should be standard like normal, but of course, every year that Comic-Con puts out exactly what's going to happen in their posts where they do daily posts of information leading up to the convention.
Yeah. And if you want to see what's happened in previous years, we have a post called Where Do I Line Up For? So if you literally just Google Where Do I Line Up For SDCC blog, you should be able to find that article. And it includes like maps and photos, and it's really helpful. But again, that will be 2019 info. And we don't quite know 2020 info yet, even though we assume it will be similar. Sir Lister Smeg, has there been a second booster and will it be needed at SDCC? No. So the FDC defines fully vaccinated as basically if you are on a 2-dose, it basically doesn't include any of the boosters, according to them. Fully vaccinated means if you are on Pfizer or one of the others, you need the 2, and if you're on Johnson & Johnson, you only need the 1. That's basically what fully vaccinated means. That's what everybody goes by.
And so the digital version, if you have it on one of your health apps, then the digital version will work. And if you want to just take a picture of your card front and back, make sure you get the front and the back.
Yep.
If you want pictures of it, that has worked in the past as well. So again, we're assuming it will work for this year as well, coming up.
Yep. James asked anything on Hasbro? Not yet. Chucky asked, is Comic-Con parking still available? Yes, it is. And as a quick reminder on parking, if you were not chosen for Comic-Con parking, the general sale where it opens to everyone will be on Monday, July 18th, 2 days before the convention, which is cutting it dang close, but there is always still parking available. So I know that that's anxiety inducing. That would stress me out to be like, I don't know if I have parking until 2 days before the con, but we feel fairly confident in saying that there has always been parking at the end of this, and I'm sure there will be again. If you truly don't want to do that, you can always look into other options, like the airport offers long-term parking and you could, take an Uber, or we did a post about public transportation options from the airport, any of those.
And specifically, Chucky was asking about convention center parking, which most likely that's going to be gone before it gets to the open parking. So if you don't have one of the groups, you're likely not going to get convention center parking.
Yes, usually the two that for sure sell out are convention center and Bayfront. But as far as I am aware, both of those are still available at this exact second. Xavier asked, any news if Rady Shell at Jacobs Park will be used for any offsite? We do know that the Symphony will not be using the Rady Shell, and they will also not be doing any shows in their Jacobs Hall, their indoor space, because that's under construction. But as far as anybody else using the Rady Shell, I don't know. I just know the Symphony isn't. Okay. All right. Are we moving on to
offsites?
Offsites. Cool.
And the big one from today.
Funko Fun Days. It went on sale and sold out. The end.
That's about it. And that's how long it took to sell out too.
Yep. I mean, if you tried for fun days, it was about 2 hours and 40 minutes of sitting there refreshing. It sold out in, I don't even know,
10 seconds.
10 to 20 seconds. Yeah, really fast. If you got tickets, congratulations. If you didn't, sorry, this is literally the hottest ticket at Comic-Con, and that is not an exaggeration.
And they announced this year, no wait list.
Yes, thank you. We had a bunch of questions about that. No wait list for Fun Days this year.
Yeah. So next up, we have another offsite that went on sale today. That was the Tron Dance Party, hosted by D23 for the 40th anniversary of Tron. And so tickets were $45 for gold members and $65 for general members. And you were supposed to be able to get them either way today. But apparently this morning they changed that before they went on sale, and only gold members could purchase today. And general members will be able to buy them some other day.
I would also just like to point out that when we originally posted this, I mean, it said specifically all member types will be able to buy badges for $45. And then we posted it and somebody was like, no, now it says something different. Now it says the free members will be $65. And I was like, it did not say that 10 minutes ago. And now, he's just said, they changed it to where the free members couldn't buy today at all. So not cool, Disney.
Yeah. But they went on sale. So if you got tickets, good job. I don't know if it's going to sell out or if it will sell out at some point. So keep an eye we'll let you know if and when the general members tickets go on sale.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about Star Trek 10 Forward, which will be at Happy Does, formerly the Gaslamp Strip, at 340 Fifth Avenue. And basically it is transforming into Starfleet's favorite watering hole for the convention. It is paid. The lowest ticket option is $60, which includes general admission to cocktails, food, and access to, they have a merch store there and a photo op. And then they had a VIP option, but it is also sold out. But it will be Thursday through Sunday of the convention. Again, it is paid, so this is different. This is not normally how Comic-Con works, but because it has food and it has drinks, and presumably, since you are booking a time, what you were basically paying to not stand in line for 4 hours.
Yeah, and I think I remember reading on the site that it is a 90-minute experience.
Yes.
So you have about 90 minutes to eat your bread and drink your drinks.
Yeah, so I mean it's decent value. I mean it is definitely more than it was in LA. In LA it was $25.
Comic-Con packs.
That's right.
Not only does Abbott Elementary have a trolley wrap, but we do know they're having a fan experience this year at Comic-Con. Don't really know the details yet, but we do know is that they're having a fan art contest, and if your art is selected, it will actually be on display at the fan experience, which is pretty cool. So keep an eye out for those details as they come out for the fan experience.
Yes. Okay. A couple more questions in the chat. Mark Lopez said, I believe Hasbro confirmed they would be at Comic-Con in last week's JoJo June live feed. Okay. So yes, Hasbro will be at Comic-Con. We do actually know that. We just don't know what they're bringing to clarify that. And then Nico Holt asked, any more news on Stranger Things experiences? So Nico is referring to something that we posted. Time means nothing anymore. A week or two ago, I think last week, which was basically some branding company was looking for brand ambassadors for an offsite that featured a roller rink and slushies. Now, that may not be Stranger Things, but to me, that certainly sounds like Stranger Things. So we have no other details about that, but we're hopeful.
Yes. Yeah, and so basically, I don't think that we really have any other major property offsites announced at this point.
No, well, I mean, we know that like Ghosts will have their offsite. I
mean, besides the ones we've announced. So
yes,
basically,
that is correct.
If anything, we're not like, we're not like doling out the information like a little bit every day. We've announced everything that we know.
Yes.
So as it gets announced, and I think we're going to start seeing, now that we're less than a month out, we're going to start seeing more stuff over the next couple of weeks.
Yes,
for sure.
For sure. Well, and especially like, again, so panels start coming out June 7th through the 10th. So typically what happens is usually next week, and then usually like probably Tuesday, Wednesday of that July 4th week, you will see so many announcements from all the different studios about their panels on their offsites, as basically they try to get those out real quick before the full schedule comes out. So there's plenty more still to come. And then you can also find way more offsites listed on our calendar, including we posted a bunch of rooftop cinema screenings, including some like before the con or Sunday night. They have like a dark night screening. So, I mean, that'd be a cool way, to kickstart or end your convention. So you can find all of that on our offsite calendar, again, along with a bazillion other offsites.
And now it's time for exclusives, again, of which there were a bunch.
Yes.
So first up, Funko. Hey, look, Fun Days and Funko. So they revealed all of their exclusives, they say, and they produced this handy dandy shared retail exclusives to show all of them off. And you can see that throughout all the different stores where you can grab these, and including, of course, if you get selected in the lottery that we are expecting to happen for the Funko booth. And so there's all kinds of cool things. My personal favorite is the jumbo-sized Unicron from Transformers. I know that other people had other favorites, but that one was the one I thought was the coolest one. But here they all are, and good luck getting them.
Yeah, so real quick, I just want to talk about how the shared retail ones work. So it lists basically where these will go on sale, but there is usually not like a specific time these launch. They launch usually like Wednesday night through Thursday morning, but that could be any time within there. So if you want one of these, and you either don't assume it, we are assuming Funko is going to do a lottery. I don't know that for sure, but if they do a lottery and you don't win it, this is always a great way to get your exclusives. You just have to keep your eyes and ears out for when they drop.
All right. Well, sorry. Go ahead, James.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say with another retailer you'll be able to see or find in the Funkoville campus is Loungefly, best known for their mini backpacks. Have exclusives all over the board, whether it's Marvel with Gamora or Captain Carter. We got Stitch there with Disney. and then Star Wars with the Tusken Raider. So there's actually quite a few of them. They all look pretty cool. So again, you'll be able to find that within the Funkoville campus on the exhibit floor,
which we are of course expecting to be part of the lottery,
Yes.
just like Funko is.
So real quick, the calculator asked, so will they not be selling these at all at SDCC at their Funkoville? So to further clarify, the shared exclusives, all of these for Loungefly, for Funko, those will be at the Loungefly and the Funko booths at Comic-Con. Again, we suspect that in order to gain access at least to Funko, and I think Loungefly as well, but we'll see, you will probably have to win a lottery. However, if you don't win the lottery, they have shared, all the exclusives are shared with a different retailer. So like a certain quantity goes to Comic-Con and a certain quantity goes off to the retailer.
And the
so
only
those-
difference is
the sticker.
the sticker on them. So you can see in these photos, you said Summer Convention Limited Edition.
Yes.
That's the sticker that you'll get on it at GameStop or
Yes.
at Hot Topic or somewhere like that. But if you
Amazon,
get
yeah.
it at Comic-Con, it will actually say San Diego Comic-Con exclusive on the sticker instead.
Correct.
So that's the only difference.
Yes. And then the Mock Phantom said, I wonder whether Mondo will be lottery now that it's under the Funko umbrella now too. And that's a very good question. I mean, we do not know the answer to that, but we will have to wait and see.
And then next up, we have Symbiote Studios, and they are doing their annual, always a great time giveaways. And in this case, it's these pins. And each day they will be giving away these pins. And of course, the schedule is to be determined, but you can win them basically by playing rock, paper, scissors.
Yes. And I think these are so freaking cute. Like, come on. If you're going to give away a free pen for somebody playing rock, paper, scissors, like, I think it's amazing that the pens are actually Catnip Bravo playing rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
And this is what, honestly, like, this is one of the cooler things I feel like on the convention floor. Like, I mean, it's a quick little game. You get something free if you win. If you don't, you can try again. Like, it's cool. Go check out Symbiote Studios. They're also very nice people.
It's not like it's hard to play rock, paper,
No.
scissors. So
No.
they're not exactly doing a real, like high bar test here.
No.
They just want to give you some free stuff, and they want to make you
Yes.
do some kind of effort to get it.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So let's talk about Patrick Ballesteros, who showed off a couple of new things this week. I want to start with this really fun 360 print from Everything Everywhere All at Once. And the piece is called You're My Everything. And the coolest part is because it's 360, you can turn it in any direction and it still works. And that will be a 10 by 10 print available for $25. And then he also showed off a 6 by 8 25-cent wonders for the boys called the New Boys and Girls Club, which will be available at his booth. He did not give me a price, but I think he may have more for the boys to show. So stay tuned for that. And hopefully I'm not making that up. I don't think I am.
And then Pop Minded by Hallmark released some of their exclusives, and we already knew about the Star Wars Gonk Droid and Mouse Droid from Celebration, but here are 5 more items, including the Doctor Who Time War Dalek ornament. That'll be $30. The Spider-Gwen ornament is $25, and the Harry Potter Christmas tree ornaments set of 3 for $15, and the Professor Snape Boggart version is $10, and all of these are limited, and they will be split between Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con. And so
Yes.
You can check out our site for the print runs of all of these, and they look pretty cool.
They do. Real quick before we move on, Christopher Milano asked about the symbiote pens, the 4th one, if we win 3 in a row. No, so I think the 4 pens they'll be doing a different one a day, so there'll be 4 different pens, but they said, I think if you win 3, you can upgrade to a larger prize. So I don't know what that is, but I don't think it's just a pen. Was my reading of that. Anyway, sorry, Robert, take it away.
Well, next up is yesterday's. They have some really cool pins. First up, we've got the Spider-Men cinematic 3-pin set, limited to 200, and they'll be available for $20. And then we also have the animated 3-pin set with Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Miguel O'Hara. and their iconic mask design. So again, that one also retails for $20, but this one is only limited to 100 pieces. And then last up, we have the RPG dice 6-pin set, which also $20 and limited to 200 pieces.
And then I wanted to mention Bikut. They have some new plushes this year, which are super adorable. Those are the pens. There we go. That is new coconut and fluff, and they have some different variations, and they're just super cute. And again, go check out the small vendors. Like, we love the small vendors. She is at booth number 2449. The plushes are $20.
And then we have Beeline Creative, which I think is also known as Geeky Tikis. And most likely this is going to be available at the Lucasfilm Pavilion. This Stormtrooper Tiki mug set, which I think these things are really cool. These are based on the Stormtrooper helmets on spikes from The Mandalorian. And they just look really cool. We don't have any information on pricing or anything yet, but we should be getting that soon.
Yep.
And then, Robert, we have one final one with
Mr. Alex Ross.
Yes.
So we've got this great looking Marvel Heroes illustration, which was originally created for the Marvel Studios corporate offices. But this lithograph will run at a cost of $395 and only limited to 395 copies. So you can find Alex Ross and the rest of his art at booth 2415.
There's a couple more too, right?
Oh yeah, so we've got Black Adam and Moon Knight. Believe the Black Adam is limited to 75 pieces. And that one is $195, and then Moon Knight limited to 50 pieces, and that runs at $395.
And I think you have to go to his website to sign up to get on the interest list or to be able to have a chance to buy these.
Yes, there's a wait list for online. I think you can also just go to the booth and buy it. But yeah, there is a wait list on his website as well. And then we had plenty of other exclusives on our site, which again, you can find all of that information on our website, including we got our first look at monograms, first exclusive today, which is a Godzilla and Power Rangers 3D film clip. JYK All Day unveiled a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles print, which is really fun that he did.
That thing looks awesome.
It does look awesome. He did that with another artist, and it looks really freaking cool. Priscilla Wilson announced her exclusives release schedule, and that she will be doing a pen trade, and pen and figure trade, excuse me. So you can find that information again on our site. And then I just wanted to mention that Hyperactive Monkey, aka Jerome Liu, will also have some patches and a really cool print that he made. And then we had some questions in the chat that I'm just going to run through here real quick. Nico asked, will pens be in the badge box? No pens. James asked, has there been any word if Bandai is coming? Bandai is coming. Let's see here. Sir Lister Smeg asks, can you only play at Symbiote Studios if you don't buy anything? I assume that meant, can you play if you don't buy anything? You can play and not buy anything. You can literally just go and play rock, paper, scissors and get a pen. Again, Symbiote's cool. Go check them out. Drunk Obi-Wan said, oh, so buses aren't dropping or picking us up in front of the convention center anymore. That is correct. Sean over at Parks and Cons is going to be doing a guide about the new pickup locations, which are at Petco Park and Manchester Grand Hyatt. You can look for that information on his feed and our site soon. And then
I asked about that turtle sprint. Is it limited? And I just looked, and it does not look like it is limited. It is $20.
Yeah, I can ask. I mean, I can totally ask him. And then I saw one more question. Where was it? Eleanor Grace asked, should we plan on primarily using our card at the con, or is it necessary to still have some cash on hand? I would definitely have both. Even though, we've heard a whole lot supposedly about how everybody's gone cashless. That has not been my experience at anything, including WonderCon. Most vendors definitely appreciate when you have cash, and especially in the exhibit hall. Wi-Fi goes down, card readers stop working, like having cash always ensures that you get in and out of there a whole lot faster. So I would have both.
Yeah, and Drunk Obi-Wan was mentioning about yesterday's pins and how they have a limited amount that's both online and at the show. So it's a different quantity. I mean, the same quantity. One set's on for online and one set's for at the show for some of their pins. But also,
for some, yeah,
they released a bunch of pins right before we went on the show. So we have a bunch more that we'll be showing off next week. Plus, I think they're coming out with even more stuff. So next week we'll have all that stuff on.
Yeah, and in fact, they sent me 6 pens that we did not post yet, like 5 minutes before the show. So those are
There'll be more soon.
Very soon, actually. I will probably save those for tomorrow, though. And then Night Bodega asked, can you go over the aged out child badges again? Is it too late to get one? Okay, so if your child would have been free, which means 12 and under, back in San Diego Comic-Con 2021, they did a really weird thing, which is basically where they said, okay, we will extend the age for the children by 1 year, but not 2. So there's this weird gap where you've got a year of kids who would have been free at 2020, but have since aged up to junior, but are now not covered under the extended free child badges. So those folks are kind of just out of luck, seemingly. But then Comic-Con finally said, no, okay, we'll take care of you. They asked everybody to email them by a certain date, which I think was back in May. They told them, hey, we'll send you this information by mid-June. That is now turned into the end of June. Can you still get on the list? I don't know. I would contact Comic-Con International. I would explain your situation and hope that they take mercy on you. But that's where we are. We have no other news on that situation.
Whew. All right. So don't forget that we have a contest hub on the site if you don't have a ticket, and any contest come up that you can win one, we will put it there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Let's also mention our attendee of the week, which is where you can be featured on our site and tell some cool stories about your experiences at San Diego Comic-Con. That is up in the little rotating slider that is on our site. So you can go apply there.
All right. And we'll be back next week with more news and exclusives. And as we mentioned, a special guest,
Jermaine Lucier from Gizmodo, and we love Jermaine because, again, he comes on and he just tells us what's going to be at the convention. So thank you preemptively, Jermaine. But that is always a really fun podcast. We have him on every year, and it's always just a whole lot of fun, quite frankly, just to talk about movies at Comic-Con. One of our favorite topics.
He does it from his house within the background. So like you guys, we can see what art he has back there because he's always got so many awesome posters.
Yep. Jermaine's a very cool guy. So should be good. All right. You can sign up for our newsletter, which we are actually sending out every Tuesday. So like we sent one out this afternoon. And if you are doing the word searches, like please tell us, because we really want to know. And that's not hyperbole. I really want to know if you guys are doing the word searches. Please tell us. And then I also just want to take a moment to thank our patrons on Patreon, because especially over the last 2 years, you guys made a huge difference for us. And as always, we make no money doing this. All of our money goes back into doing fun stuff for you guys, which we've got some really fun giveaways for you guys this year. In fact, I'll even talk about one right now because why not? But we are going to make some hand fans that we're going to give out, which we're very excited about, to some lucky attendees. And we've got a bunch more prize meal stuff this year from so many of our amazing sponsors, which we will start unveiling very soon, hopefully by the end of the week. And again, just thank you guys, and we've got fun stuff ahead.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and I guess it's time to head on out. So, Robert, where can we find more of you on the internet?
Well, you can find me at Legion of San on both Twitter and Instagram. And Carrie, I just want to say, as someone who runs HOT all the time, those hand fans are so amazing.
I think it's gonna be fun. Yeah. Okay, so hey, real quick here in the chat, but you have like 20 seconds, but we want to know, would you rather have a hand fan that said I'm a fan because we
Yes.
are, and it's literally a fan. Or would you rather have a fan that said, we make SDCC a breeze? So if you have a preference for one of those, let us know ASAP.
I'm going to shill for I'm a fan because it is so meta. Like you're holding a fan that says I'm a fan, but you're also a fan that's at Comic-Con to see something that you love. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm the one who suggested it.
Of course not. Of course not. And on that note, in Toddland's Bob's Burgers pin contest, go vote for number 3.
Why?
Just
happened to like that.
I wrote it. Huh? Yeah, I just happened to like that one. All right. Well, James, I think you have successfully made your case because I think like everyone in the chat is saying I'm a fan. I'm a fan. All right, that's our winner.
Yes.
That's funny. All right.
All right, Carrie, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Carrie Dixon, where I will absolutely not be logged in for the rest of the week because I do not want to be spoiled for Umbrella Academy, which I can't watch until this weekend. James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am everywhere at Dan Regal, and you can check out geekshotphoto.com for all the social media links and other stuff for myself and my wife. And my wife, Beth, is our producer who gets this into your ears and does all the slides and everything like that. So thank you, Beth. Yes. Oh, and your Instagram is Trekkie Beth. Yes, check out Trekkie Beth. And she's got some other Instagrams she runs for Disney stuff. If you like photos from Disneyland and whatnot, check those out because there's some awesome photos on there.
Beth is an all-around awesome person, but yeah, she is an amazing photographer. So definitely go check those out. We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We are also on Stitcher Radio, and the link is in the show notes.
If you wish to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to Mario for coming on and talking about the Hilton. Thank you, Robert, for coming on and joining us today. And everybody, go
Shawarma.
I'm a fan.